Hello, sixth graders, and welcome to the second day that we're talking about theme. You guys did fantastic yesterday. Make sure that you have completed your do now. What are some themes in Hatchet that we discussed yesterday? And pause it until you're done, then move on. Okay, so first we're going to be reviewing how do authors develop theme. So we learned yesterday that theme is developed by seeing how a character responds to a conflict. And remember, a couple really important things to remember when you're stating that theme. It must have no small details in it, nothing specific or small from the text you just read. And this is the most important one. It must be, actually, a word we use for this is universal. I know we didn't talk too much about that yesterday, but universal means it's something that can be applied to all of life. So again, something that would not be a good theme would be saying, Brian taught me that if I'm ever in northern Canada, then this should happen. Hey, Bruce, you guys want to say hi to the dog? Hi, Bruce. So make sure that it is something that shows that can be applied to anything in life. Really big picture statements like never give up, always persevere, listen to people who are teaching you things, stuff like that. So our objective today is that I can identify the many different ways that Paulson reveals themes in Hatchet. So again, I hope I didn't confuse you too much here. Yesterday, we learned about one way that an author can develop theme, which is how a character responds to a conflict. We can learn a lesson by seeing how a character responds to a problem. There's also many other ways, though, that authors reveal theme. Since you guys mastered that one so quickly yesterday, we're going to move on and touch on a bunch of different ones today. So here's some other things that authors can do to reveal the theme. There's so many things. Think of any strategy an author can use. Pretty obvious they can use inner dialogue or repetition. An author's use of these two things can teach us a lesson in the story. Make sure you have those down before you keep watching. Sometimes it's specific word choice. Authors are really specific about words that they use to teach us a lesson about something. Other things that authors do through character decisions, because that's a strategy, the decisions that characters make teach us a lot. We can learn a lot from, one second. We can also learn a lot from the way an author just sort of describes the setting of a story. There's basically like endless possibilities here, right? Authors can do, when they sit down to write a text, it's like, okay, I want to teach my reader something. I want them to learn something. And what am I going to do in order to do it, right? It would not be a really good idea if as an author you just said, all right, I'm just going to write down a bunch of stuff that happened and hope that they learn something. They really try and figure out, what am I going to do in order to teach my reader something? So the big one that we touched on yesterday was this, but there's kind of endless possibilities. Here's a few big ones that authors use. And then also lastly, a big one too is dialogue or just character interaction. Sometimes when we see different characters have conversations with each other or the way they interact, we can learn from that too. All right, so let's take a look at what I mean here. Scroll down to where it says practice. We're going to find the theme in some of these different passages and see, all right, what did our author do here to teach us this theme? Passage 1. Jack's grandfather kept telling him to save up his money. Jack should have just listened to him. If he had just listened to his advice, he wouldn't be in such a terrible financial situation right now. Listen, 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 Grandpa always told him. Why can't you children just listen to my advice? Jack could be, I was supposed to say rich right now, instead of incredibly poor. So I read this story and I know that a lesson I can learn from Jack here is that you should always listen to people's advice. That's like sort of a major theme in the story right now. I feel like I can learn that from this passage. But 2, how did the author reveal this theme? So I want to take a look back at my text and say, okay, how can I tell here? What is the author doing to get me to see that listening to people's advice is really, really important? So I noticed that the author used a strategy of repetition here. Look, he repeated the word listen so much because he really wanted me as the reader to learn that listening to people is really important. Let's try passage 2. How am I, sorry, hold on. How am I ever going to get out of this situation? Amy thought long and hard about her failing grade in math, about the way that she cheated by looking over her shoulder at Jonah's answers, just to find out that they were taking different tests all along. My parents are going to kill me, Amy thought. I don't know what I'm going to do, and I can't possibly bring this grade up now. There are no more tests left. Amy thought long and hard about her terrible mistake. I am never cheating again, she thought. Never. So, what is the theme of this? What can we learn from this? Yeah, the major theme here would be don't cheat, really, because I can take a look at Amy's situation, our main character, and learn from this passage that you shouldn't cheat. But what is the author doing here really to reveal this theme? Yeah, I can take a look at this and say, okay, all of this right here is Amy's inner dialogue. Where did I learn that like cheating is really bad? It starts off with her inner dialogue. We can see she's having a lot of trouble, but how is she going to get out of this situation? Another key word that there's inner dialogue here is where it says Amy thought, because that actually tells us she's thinking, which is her inner dialogue. Whoops. Actually, yeah, this is all her inner dialogue. My parents are going to kill me, Amy thought. So underline that because that's also inner dialogue. And then I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't possibly bring it up right now. Inner dialogue. Amy thought long and hard. That's more inner dialogue. I'm never cheating again. She thought never. So this is like totally packed with inner dialogue right here. I am learning a whole lesson about how bad it is to cheat because our author here chose to put inner dialogue in the passage to teach us that. Passage 3. How could you do this to me, Hannah? Jonas remarked. I thought I could count on you to keep that between the two of us. You never should have trusted me, Jonas. This is your fault. We barely knew each other, and then you dumped your whole life story on me. Well, now practically the entire school knows everything. So much for a brand new start here, like my parents promised. I barely knew you when I told you those things, but I thought we had a connection. I guess I was wrong. You were wrong, Hannah sneered. Go back to where you came from. Oh, all right. So what is the theme here? What can we learn from our character Jonas here? What can we learn in this passage? Yeah, it can be a number of things to be careful who you trust, or maybe you said don't trust people before you know them, stuff like that. So now I'm thinking, okay, I definitely learned a lot about not to trust people too soon or before I know them, but what did my author do here to teach me that? How did the author reveal this theme? Again, in case you've been confused about this word reveal, to reveal something just means to show it to someone. I'm using the word reveal because you're going to see it a lot on Park and I want you to be comfortable with it, but reveal is like to show something to someone. So yeah, this entire text is like packed with dialogue. If you look at all of the dialogue between Jonas and Hannah, it's this conversation that's teaching us not to trust people. So you can put dialogue or you can sort of put character interactions too. Because again, if our author is just trying to teach us not to trust people, he could have done so many different things here. But to teach us that trust people is bad, it could have been inner dialogue. Instead, maybe we could have gotten all Jonas's inner dialogue about how bad it was, like how we should have never trusted this girl, Hannah. But in this passage, you look, what did our author do to teach us this lesson? And the strategy that this author chose was dialogue. So go ahead and annotate all the times that you see dialogue that teaches us not to trust people. Once you are done, take out a book, or actually go to hold on one second, I'm sorry. Make sure that you go ahead, annotate this for any time that you see a dialogue that teaches you not to trust people, and then unpause the video. Okay, so now we are going to take what we just learned about different strategies and apply it to Hatchet. So a major theme in Hatchet is to never give up. We talked about so many different themes yesterday. This is the one major one that we're going to focus on. So I want you to do a scavenger hunt. Go back through your text and search for all the ways that Paulson has revealed this theme. Anytime you find a moment the theme has been revealed, record it in this chart and identify which strategy Paulson used. But what I want you to do right now